Welcome back. I'm Tyler, you're watching Scarfing Scarves, and welcome to the 39th installment of Last Week Lolita News. At the top of the segment, Halloween is officially over, the goth community is lording over newly discounted home decor, and everyone else is preparing for that cherished tradition of spending time with people who remain stubbornly related to them despite their protests. Which is why this reporter is going to summarily skip all of that and get right to the holiday that actually matters. I'm talking about Christmas. And in the spirit of the season of Santa Claus, flying reindeer, and capitalistic decadence disguised as a legitimate exercise in affection for friends and family, Angelica Pretty has gifted the entire community with an early Christmas present in the form of graciously emptying all of our bank accounts for a release that should have been scheduled sometime between the 50th Holy Lantern and Misty Sky Fuck You .0. Whimsical Vanilla Chan re-release when, but my personal problems aside, this is about where my acidity runs out. Because Angelica Pretty re-released this series for the original price. For a series that can sell for $2,000 with fracking pit stains and missing pieces, Angelica Pretty saw that glut of money that could have been theirs and delivered this release for $400 USD. Brand new. Meaning the first thing I thought when I saw this announcement was that I am definitely in a coma. My horrid personality has caught up with me. I have been struck by a rogue PT Cruiser and am seconds away from the hospital pulling the plug because the burning dumpster fire that is my lifestyle has severed ties with all who would claim me, and there are better people desperately in need of a functioning kidney. Because that is the only thing that makes sense to me. Otherwise, this is real life, and I've just punched a space hole in my bank account on the promise of the world's cruelest near-death experience ever. Seeing your life flash before your eyes is for fucking casuals. Real Lolitas see a Cat's Tea Party re-release where they actually have the fucking money. I don't even care if I am in a coma. If any of you bitches wake me before I get my hands on this series, I will choke you with my own IV. Ahem. Moving on to releases that have been overshadowed by 2018, flexing on every year since the dawn of time, Angelica Pretty has managed to somewhat undercut this Christmas miracle with the release of a print that is everything good about Christmas until you look at the cuts, and then remember that there is no cakewalk this brand cannot ruin with the appropriate amount of spin-the-bottle design. Yes, this is Angelica Pretty. We'd like to order one random-ass line across the waist instead of a bow, and while you're at it, can you throw in a weird yoke area and some nautical-looking stripes? Yes, we're aware that Santa isn't delivering boxes off a fishing boat, but this is an island nation, and fuck you, Karen, just do what we say. Click. Seriously though, how is there not a green version of this? It would still be awkward as sin, but I want this thing in the color of a walking Christmas tree or not at all. A nod to classic fairy tales for being the best Christmas print ever released in July, and turning towards other releases, Innocent World has managed not to fuck up a tiered print, Metamorphosis Grimoire is the coolest thing to come out of a brand that routinely takes sane print design and cuts it with enough LSD to produce an aesthetic hate crime, and some goth brand is apparently teaming up with Cradland Ret to the apprehension of an entire subset of people who dress exclusively in black and blue. Here's hoping it won't be triple fortune tier awful, and my darker sisters have my sympathies. Turning towards social news, this reporter was fully ready to write off this segment due to a recent outbreak of peace in the Lolita community, but Rebel Chat has thrown a Hail Mary pass to remind us all that peace is but an illusion, and the moment you scratch the surface, you unleash a roiling mass of torn lace and shrieking that is the trademark of this fracking fashion. Points for creativity, and it all started in Ruffle Chat. The OP asked if anyone had encountered a gatekeeping Lolita, asked what they might say, and the thread proceeded as could be expected with 50 civil comments interspersed by the occasional kinkster that couldn't go 5 seconds without revealing the depths to which they're willing to sink to put the general public off their lunch. Those not paralyzed by nausea engaged at their own risk, the offending comments were removed, and the thread was set to go down as a cautionary tale with minimal damage to all involved. That said, as the question gets to the root of a lot of outsiders' complaints with this fashion, I thought it might be worth it to address it a little further. The general public or new members' queries often share a seed of asking why Lolitas are so mean / exclusionary / not accepting of anyone whose fashion statement begins and ends with a Party City petticoat and enough Claire's accessories to start their own franchise of Technicolor mediocrity. And in the process, the Lolita community is often written off as a bastion of elitism and spite. Which begs the question, does the Lolita community have a problem with gatekeeping? The short answer is no. The long answer is no, but with even more irritation because the brush used to paint this community is broad enough to pick up and smack the asker across the face a couple of times until they learn to separate a few bad actors from the overwhelming hug box that is the online experience of anyone who stays the fuck off sites designed by Satan himself to watch alt-fashion enthusiasts dance for his own amusement. This community is so aggressively welcoming that we can't even get rid of fucking sissies because we are too afraid of being impolite to knock them into space with the banhammer of righteous justice. Even the worst fashion crimes are met with criticism so sugar-coated you need an insulin boost just to get through a single paragraph. And as this community's preeminent amalgamation of malice and salt, I can't believe I'm the one who has to say that this fashion is actually full to overflowing with people who are, on the whole, entirely pleasant. Batshit insane, the lot of you, but pleasant with the right amount of vodka in tow. Are there people who make a concerted effort to disgrace the concept of sentience? Yes. Are they a rowdy minority that pales in comparison to even a basic glance at the general community full of well-meaning if eccentric individuals that are essentially harmless if often bearing the social graces of a bag of walnuts? Yes. I may not quit making fun of this community as a feckless gathering of malicious magpies anytime soon, but so help me if I won't defend it to the death from any half-cocked casual who dares say boo. I don't actually hate the lot of you as much as it seems. I will deny the previous assertion until the day I die, and while I'm at it, here's to my local community especially for somehow tolerating this dumpster fire that I represent. Because that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you for watching last week Lolita News, and be sure to tune in next week when we tackle the tough questions like, are dark web Lolitas coming for your brand? Are the people who bought Kat's tea party for $2,000 sobbing in the streets? And seriously, am I in a coma? Excuse me while I go hyperventilate until June 2019. This has been Tyler, you've been watching Scarfing Scarves, and before you leave this space with the usual film of disappointment and underwhelm coating your central nervous system, you should know that this show is sponsored in part by Lolita Des, a secondhand Lolita and J fashion shop based in Japan with excellent English-speaking staff and an official sponsor for last week Lolita News. Lolita Des, when zombie horses refuse to stay down, logic can't cleanse them from this earth, and all is clouded in a dark fog of phantom Lolitist and Maidoneko propaganda made up to scare the gullible and poorly dressed, shopping inoculates against even the most virulent strain of ooh-woo. They have brand. Link to their shop below, and to wrap things up with a big fracking bow, I'd like to thank my patrons for sticking with the most unreliable motherfucker to ever enter this fashion. I cannot express how much it means that you haven't yeeted me into the distance, and if you'd like to be just as disappointed in your choices as they are, you can head over to patreon.com/lastweeklolitanews in a virulent display of masochism and faith in humanity that I cannot begin to possess. My apologies in advance, thank you again guys, and I'll catch you next time on Last Week Lolita News.